If you were in the market to sell your home, Eric Tidmore sure would love to help you. He has 1% lists here in the Chattanooga area, and if you're wondering if the name says it all, it does. That's just the idea, right? You're listing people's homes for 1%.
1% listing fee.
Okay, so let's talk about what that means then for the seller, Eric,
Absolutely.
because that is what, 2% less than typical?
2% discount.
Okay, so how does that
discount.
work? How do you do it?
Well, a lot of it's eliminating overhead. We are the brokerage, we are the team, so there's a couple of elements of, overhead that are eliminated. I chose, instead of making more money, to be the ultimate fiduciary and pass that savings right on to my client.
So the market, I guess it's always changing.
It is.
So where are we right now? I know it wasn't too long ago that the talk was you better hurry and buy quickly.
Absolutely.
Things are sitting a little longer?
The market is still healthy. Houses are still selling. If you're a buyer, there's a better chance you're going to get a buyer concession. A buyer concession meaning closing costs, prepaids, rate buy down. Really good chances you're going to be able to get that in today's market, that we can negotiate that into a contract. 60% of homeowners across the U.S. have a 4% or less interest rate.
Right.
That makes moving tough.
Yeah.
If you have a 4% rate, and think about this, every 1 point that rate goes up is 10% of affordability for a buyer, or 10% more on your payment.
Right.
So you go from 4 to 6.5. We're talking about a 25% jump.
Okay, so I'm going to try to do some math in my head.
Okay.
And I have not thought this through, so I might get halfway into the scenario and find out that I'm wrong. I don't mind. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's say that you're selling a house. Easy math. Let's make it $500,000.
Absolutely.
That's going to be the listing price. So with you, by listing with you at 1% lists, they're going to pay $5,000.
That's
okay.
Absolutely correct.
If it was the 3% conventional fee, it would be
$15,000.
So then you, as the seller, can kind of hedge your bet on how to price your house, because your out-of-pocket expenses are going to be so much less.
Absolutely, it's a huge advantage.
Okay.
If your house needs repairs, there's an extra $10,000 to go towards repairs. If you have to pay some buyer concessions, there's an extra $10,000.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when you walk out of that title company, you're going to have $10,000 more dollars.
Now let's talk about that a second. First of all, you mentioned if you need to do some repairs.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's an expense that people don't want to take on. Y'all have a guaranteed offer?
We do. We have a guaranteed cash offer. I come to the house. The best thing to do is me come to the house, assess the house. Let's get a game plan together. We'll look at listing the house at the 1%, and then we'll look at a guaranteed cash offer. I can close in as quick as 7 days.
Right. Okay, I mentioned the $500,000 price.
Yes.
That is, and that will make anybody whistle, though. And let's talk about the young home buyers out there, young couples who are trying to buy a house, and it's just out of their reach because the prices are so high.
Absolutely.
Is there much on the market these days, Eric?
There is. If you look at the median price point for our market, we're at $334,000. There is still considerable inventory coming to market that's under the $330,000 mark. Had a family buy a house 2 weeks ago. Bought it for their student that's coming to town, and it was a $165,000 house.
Right.
There's product out there. But the interest rates are a battle, and the problem is, we backed up 2 years ago when somebody's out shopping at a 3% rate,
right?
And now they're at a 6% rate,
and they're not going to sell.
Yeah,
right.
They were looking at $300,000 houses, and now they may be like a $200,000 or $210,000 buyer, which is tough.
You actually service an hour either direction.
Absolutely.
Of Chattanooga, so sometimes you can get more bang for your buck if you're willing to go out a little farther.
Absolutely. Years ago, it was called Drive to Affordability. It started in Atlanta, as Atlanta grew to where Atlanta's 2 hours from Atlanta. Absolutely. North Georgia's a great area. You can get more square footage.
Right.
A little less on some aspects of the housing.
So we're focusing on the 1% list, but within the company, are you also helping buyers?
We are. There's actually 3 licensed agents. We have a total staff of 8 that handle back-end operations, phones, customer care, but we have 3 licensed agents. All of us, we service buyers.
Typical time on the market these days, what's the average length of a home?
54 days.
54 days, you knew it by
54
heart.
days, yes.
Okay, so the thing they should do is contact
Yes.
you, then you'll come to their home.
Absolutely.
Whether you're looking to buy or to sell, he
Absolutely.
and his team would be happy to help you. It's called 1% Lists. Their information there on your screen. The website is sell41.com, but there's their phone number, 355-454-78. Look at that money that's going to be in your pocket. Thanks.